chapter 5. Excuse me, 1 hour. Now, we going back to chapter 2, that one of the first two visions that God revealed unto me, that of the Pope, Bush, and me in St. Peter's Square, and the vision of the wagon and the pregnant women strewn all about. The finality of that vision came true in reference to this chapter series 5, 1 hour, and also to come full circle in reference to a particular country on this planet that I do believe I made reference to and said would come to its entire revelation subsequently in a future series. This is in reference to the revelations that were given to John and Patmos in the biblical book of Revelation, that 1 hour. For in 1 hour does the whore of Babylon fall. And if you refer to Revelation, when it begins to talk about the whore of Babylon, it says it convinced the own people to do his bidding. And I'm going to go into detail about what that means. First, I'm going to convey a story of when I was a young teenager. Actually, I was in my late teens, 19 to be exact, when I lay witness to the fall of communism spreading across Eastern Europe, and of course the Soviet Union in 1989, and of course the fruition and the culmination of that ended in 91. And it showed me a scene where I, being triumphant, in my room, laying claim, yes, we did it. We did it. Now, we, being that I as an American, and we collectively as Americans, our government and military, and whatever our industry, and combined with our allies, overcame and defeated the Soviet Union and her Eastern European allies and communism. We did it. And when the Lord was showing me this, I started crying, and I looked up at him, and he goes, "My son, I've already forgiven you." You see, I myself was guilty of it too. America, at that point in time, was slowly starting to no longer lay claim or give credit where credit was due. For it was God using the greatest empire the world has ever known, that of America, to overcome communism and to win the Cold War. But it was not America and her own merit. We must always remember, we should always, and it's imperative that every country gives thanks to where it's all due, and that's God. Not us or not our country. And the reason of this being shown to me was that this is a spirit that slowly has that slowly crept into this country, and he warned this country time and time again to get the violator out of your garden, get the rabbit out of your garden. And in our own blind arrogance, as time went on, we're America. Nothing can undo us. And folks, 9/11 was a last wake-up call. But God, ever so much with patience and grace, said, this is now your last warning. If you do not change your ways, do a 180, when by the time John Paul, the Pope, back then, passes on, and if you have not changed, the grace is no longer extended. And if you have not changed your ways by then, it's too late. It's like the fate of Sodom and Gomorrah, and now that's the fate of the United States. And when I was shown that this country, and it made so much sense. A lot of prophets got it wrong back in the 70s and 80s and early 90s. Keep in mind, do not judge them, because there were some that stated it correctly. But most inadvertently tweaked it just a little bit, because they themselves could not believe what the possibility of whom the whore of Babylon was, and they allowed a seducing spirit to whisper in their ear and to state that it was somewhere else. Therefore, the revived Roman Empire. Now, don't get me wrong. The revived Roman Empire is a valid and veracity part of a piece of that 7 years tribulation. Yet that's after the fall in 1 hour of the greatest empire the world has ever known. That is the United States. And the reason why we are now looked upon by God, because keep in mind, God did back and bless this country. It was Him that made us such a bountiful, with all the fruits and vegetables, the breadbasket of the world, and with all this military and economic might and political clout, that the whole world, either followed you, or if they remained resilient as an enemy, they shook in their boots. And nowadays, that's slowly eroding away. But when you start claiming credit to, I sit alone, a widow, and I'm subject to no one, so to speak, and lay claim to everything that you see that is so great about the United States, that's because of us, Congress, or the President, or the Supreme Court, or economic entrepreneurs. No. This country has become about me. Look what we have done, and have not. They've stopped saying, look what we are about, because of God blessing us. We are here where we're at in stature because of God. And when that occurred, and we stopped giving the credit where it was due to God, we became, in God's eyes, a 180, became that whore of Babylon. And if you look around the world, the nations of the world, in that metaphorical sense, do drink the wine of the United States, or in this case, the whore of Babylon. The world is doing Americana things, these perverse things. I'm talking about the negative things. And you look at all the horrible things that are going inside our country, shootings at movie theaters and schools. That's because we no longer have God in our system, in our schools, at any level, and that's why you're seeing what you're seeing.